And here friends, the tamarind sauce is being cooking. I thought I'll give you a glimpse of how it kind of looks. And this is the point in time when I actually add some grated coconut. It's important that it also kind of catches salt and sourness from the tamarind, but it will also help you absorb any remaining moisture that is there in the tamarind when it is cooking. So this is the right time kind of to add. After about 15 to 17 minutes of this boiling, you have to add. And whenever you have set this tamarind sauce for boiling, you have to make sure that you're monitoring this every once in a while. Otherwise it's going to catch the bottom, and because this is a very thick vessel, it doesn't happen that way. And you should also not add jaggery at the very beginning. If you add jaggery at the beginning, it will not allow the tamarind to cook and boil, and it is going to catch the vessel very soon, because jaggery is sweet and it loses out its juice, and the sweetness of the jaggery kind of catches the bottom very quickly. So only when the oil starts oozing out of the tamarind juice and the tamarind is cooked really well, that is when you have to add jaggery, and I'm going to show you how to do that. For now I have added about half of a spoon of grated dry coconut to this, and I'm setting it to boil again. Hi friends, the sauce is now boiling, and it has come to a nice dehydrated state when the oil has started to ooze out of the tamarind sauce. And as you can see here, so this is how it should be, and this is when it is kind of fully cooked. And to this I am kind of adding 3 tablespoons of jaggery. We tend to make it a little bit sweeter than most people do, so I'm just adding a little bit crushed jaggery so that it kind of cooks very quickly. So now that the jaggery is added, let us give it a nice mix. So now the jaggery is going to melt into this and create a little bit more moisture around the sauce, and we have to continue to boil this. See, even with a very thick bottom vessel, if you don't monitor, it kind of catches. So as you can see, it kind of catches. When the moisture goes away, the tamarind kind of starts to stick to the bottom of the vessel. So it's very important that you kind of keep mixing it and keep monitoring it. So I'm just crushing this with a ladle, wooden spoon, so that the jaggery kind of starts to melt quickly. And I'm doing this on a medium to low flame. Always make sure that when you're cooking tamarind sauce, it is always on a medium to low flame. If you increase it high, then it will burn very quickly, tamarind. So it's important that you keep it on a low flame, low to medium flame. So we'll allow this to boil a little bit longer. So I'm just showing you when is the tamarind sauce kind of done. So when it starts to separate from the bottom of the vessel, and you have a nice mix like this. See, now it is not sticking to the bottom, the tamarind sauce. That is when it is kind of done, and the oil also is starting to ooze out again. I'm turning the stove off now, and the tamarind sauce is now ready. Hi friends, the water has started to boil. Now I have just rinsed the rice twice, and then I'm just adding it to the boiling water. And this is how we typically make rice. Now we will allow the water to boil. And in the meantime, I have to also add a couple of spoons of sesame oil. You have to always, throughout this recipe, you have to make sure that you're not adding any other oil. You're just only adding sesame oil. So this is about 2 spoons of sesame oil that I have added, and we will allow it to boil. The sesame will make sure that the rice grains are not sticking to one another, and this will take about 10 to 15 minutes of boiling and draining all the starch away. Hi friends, now the rice has been boiling for about 10 to 12 minutes. I'm just trying to show you how the rice should be before you drain the starch out. So when you take it out and you kind of press it, it should kind of get squeezed completely. You should not feel any lumps when you see these things here, the squeezed part of the rice, you should not feel any lumps. That is when it is exactly done for puliyogre. It is not the consistency that you typically make rice. It should be slightly less boiled than the rice that you make usually. So there are various methods to drain the starch out. I'm going to show you a very simple method. I have a sieve here and I'm going to drain the rice using this. So I'll turn off the stove, I'll bring the sieve to the sink, and then I'm just going to drain all of it out. And you have to kind of give it a shake because there might still be moisture and water, so you want all of that to kind of go away. So now there's no water that is kind of dripping, so that is when I'm going to take it and transfer it back to the same vessel that I cooked the rice in. So if you see here, I'm transferring this back. So after this transfer, I'm going to close the lid and turn on the stove, and on a very low flame I'm going to continue to cook the rice on a very low flame for about exactly 1 minute, because by doing so the heat from the stove is kind of going to vaporize the remaining moisture out of the rice, and it's going to give you a very nice rice grains that are separate from one another. So I have made sure that rice has no moisture, it is still hot. When it is still hot, I'm just adding 1 or 2 spoons, I'm drizzling 1 or 2 spoons of sesame oil again. This again will ensure that the rice grains are separate, and you have to stop maneuvering this rice. You have to allow it to cool naturally. If you keep stirring the rice, it's going to stick to one another, and you will not get a very nice grains when you make the puliyogre. So add a couple of spoons of oil and allow it to cool.